Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome pre-market here at SpartanTrading.com. It is Wednesday. We got Fed minutes coming out. We got Nvidia, Palo Alto, oi, very expensive sector, just got less expensive by a lot. It's really interesting because this goes to show, obviously, the disconnect between the indices themselves as a reflection of what's going on with individual stocks. So, I mean, I just find it really fascinating. We do have some Fed heads talking today. We have Bostic, right? We have Bowman. Interesting retail sales out of Mexico. Wow, positive versus negative. That's really something. Overnight, we have out of Korea, we got PPI, a little bit hotter. Japan, exports, imports, and then out of Australia, price index wages, which is still where it's at, right? Borrowings, Indonesia, loan growth, etc. Right, 6.75 deposit facility. We did have a European central banker speaking. Bundesbank spoke. The Bund auction, 2.38, as you can see, higher. CBI, -20, industrial trends. And then we have, obviously, the mortgage back above 7% again, right? And then you can see here. Look, the reality is a lot of things are predicated on interest rates. One way, inflation, interest rates, however you want to slice and dice it in the economy. I mean, that's the Reader's Digest version on everything. And let's not get this, and we have seen, like with these different sectors, if you guide lower, okay, bad things happen. Now, on the other side, it's kind of interesting that Amazon is now joining the Dow, which I found really interesting. It's going to be really fascinating to see how this plays out. Okay. We keep getting upgrades. Uber is also joining the Dow in February. So the Dow is starting to slowly change its look. Okay. Fascinating, just really fascinating. Okay. Yeah. Earnings. VOT obviously is lower. I'm slowly nibbling back what I had sold up. So we'll see how that plays out and about. NVIDIA, obviously, and then, Wix, I had in the 80s, sold in the 10s, and, these are I don't know, I just can't, they're just, that's it. I owned it at 18. That's just, anyways, NVIDIA, the drill, Etsy, it's going to be fun. And then we have Moderna, Nikola, well, Moderna, right? Block, Square, Carvana. This is feeling a lot like, I don't know what the hell NVIDIA can say at this point in time. All the price targets are getting raised, and yet here we are selling going through. Obviously, I will have hedges on. SMCI, the pivot point continues to be and is that 745. Okay, you get below it, then it's tough for me to be long it. Okay, that's my pivot point. Cast a hole. And then we have McCarty Lebo Square. It's going to be a fun week. What are we having? Okay, so basically, well, you know the drill. Mortgage rates above 7, you get factory orders. Right? Oil falls. European shares. Turkish consumer GDP. Below 3% now. Wall Street Journal. Billions to replace China-made cranes at nation's ports infrastructure. That's positive for the crane builders out there. Right? It's going to be really interesting right now to see how this plays out. I don't know, to be honest with you, if I think the market just wants to go down. That's what it feels like to me. I mean, but that's my story at this point in time. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, good thing, whatever, but no matter what, it's just, we have to wait until we get a better sense of interest rates, right? And yet the bonds are flat. Alternative conventional men, most spoken languages, quarter of US concerned about civil rights, about medical cannabis, already use it, leading challenges for the Japanese. Okay. All right, what do we got? We discussed that these last 2 weeks of February were not positive for the market, and we're kind of seeing that playing out right now. So I'm going to let Spartan drive this bus in terms of what, negative versus positive and stuff like that. But we're obviously seeing stuff, consolidation rolling up. But if you look at it from a multi-month sideways consolidation, yeah, we can get down here. This is Apple and this is the range and stuff like that. And clearly that, the breakout point is down here on Microsoft. So how I've been doing it, and I still have hedges on. Everybody's aware of that. Is pairing stuff, some strangles and butterflies and things of that nature, because we are getting range, and obviously that's all we really want to see with what we do and what we do. And it's we'll have to see continuation where money flows. Okay. And we saw a little bit of it, but as you can see here, bear flagging weekly. This is smoke reversal. So this is from a bear, well, both bear and bull, right? So Tommy was on last night and he basically said it's the Fed stupid. And basically he felt that if the Fed isn't going to be accommodative, that a lot of things is predicated on that. that the market, even though he is bullish on the market, that could actually put a monkey wrench. And we are starting to see that already, right, in with the like small caps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Once again, that, yeah, while we recognize the stock pillars as a core name of the cybersecurity, yeah. Japan downgrades view of economy. Teladoc. Well, not a lot of little pictures. Gold, Micro versus Microsoft. Okay, this gold is Microsoft. Tan taken to the woodshed, right? All right, Argentina sees first monthly budget surplus in 12 years, basically because they took away a lot of stuff. At what cost? So this is this is an interesting dude. U.S. corporations were holding a record 4.4 trillion in cash as of Q3. Okay. Definitely interesting. So I do have some things, just so you know, that are breaking the 10 EMA on the weekly because of earnings. So we will, and that's my trigger, right? 10 EMA, if you break it, I trim it. So see how it plays out. I don't know. I don't know. B of A Global Finance Stress Indicator just exceeds April 2021 extreme, showing the least amount of financial stress since the pandemic. There you go. Wall of worry there, right? Now, if you're a bull, you're going to find reasons to be bullish. If you're a bear, you're going to find reasons to be bearish. I mean, that's just right. Okay. I think that makes sense to everybody. Right? Right back below 2000, show private consumption spent on services still 2% below its pre-pandemic levels. Okay. Inflation, I don't know. We'll see what the minutes say. I don't think it's going to be moving anything, but no, this is valuations going overseas. Now, as you can see clearly, right, that some of these overseas countries, PE multiples, okay, enticing, I guess. Australia, Germany. And this is why I say that for me at least, having some overseas exposure. Now this is this AI dude, the AI investor. Or it could be do that, or it could be they. I don't know. I mean, but interesting thought process. Saving money is the main thing companies start doing, right? I was working on developing networking code in another effort to reduce its reliance on NVIDIA. Okay. Oh, we're getting a new TikTok. Okay. And I don't, look, I mean, I don't know. NVIDIA achieves equivalent of performance of $10 million worth of 960. Okay. That's what it looks like. I don't know. I don't know. Am I defensive? You betcha. Okay. And we'll see how things play out. S&P and bonds. The biggest gap since 2020 of total return between S&P and long-term government bonds. I mean, that's really remarkable. I don't know. Saying it, but it's true. Don't know. And when I don't know, I hedge. Large spec continue to build up Russell 2000 futures short positions, though not as extreme as 2023 and 2022. That makes sense to me. We're seeing it. Right? Enrique, let's see what he has to say. Jazz hands. Bitcoin up 32% last 30 days. Of course, we will see consolidation. We do now. That is all it is, a consolidation. So this is the one of the permables on cryptos. Bach is the other one, right? Medical properties reports mixed. Nasdaq futures fall. On Palo Alto, fell off. Not to forget. That's pretty sure. Anybody in Palo Alto? Well, let's see. What's the institutional ownership on this one? You know me, I like to. %84. You. Rio Tinto misses. CRISPR Therapeutics beats. Walgreens shares slip after Dow exit. I'm not in Walgreens. Oops. Properties. 2 weeks to buys. Warning, don't be lazy with your retirement. Okay, let's see what's going on. Insider selling. Teva 2 million, 100%. Executive 1 share. Via Boston Scientific. Okay, insider purchasing. Let's see, anything interesting? Iova, director. And you can see here, an ALV were tied to grants. All right, let's see what's going on in terms of our friendly studs and duds. All right, initiation, CFLT, WKC, PATH. PATH continues to get a lot of, sector perform initiation. I mean, nothing really sexy. ANAB from 48% from Stifle Alex to Abide. Right, Sabre. A lot of people were selling Sabre. Let's see what happens there. Downgrades. Palo Alto, obviously, but on valuation now to neutral. Discover, well, you know why. And then obviously across the board, Palo Alto. A couple have a little bit lower, but for the most part, right? And these are all, 70+% individuals. So, and Discover, obviously, and Door, Fathom Digital, and then Lilly, interestingly enough, got a downgrade from buy to hold on valuation. But hold on a second, guys, I have to talk to my son. Sorry, that was my son's daily affirmations. All right, upgrades. Anything interesting? Home Trust, NSC, Norfolk Southern. Equal to overweight. That's interesting. And CDP. And thank you as always, Roger, for what you do. Yeah. I would have to agree with you on that one, twins. On that. We do this every day, right? We talk about, expectations in the yield curve, right? Look, I mean, the reality still is, as long as the expectation is for these many cuts, okay, the risk is obviously going to be on the downside simply because the way we're going through this narrative is that if it's inflation based, I should say, cost of goods and services, PPI, CPI, et cetera, right? Now, if it's because of the economy stupid, that's a different narrative. So can we continue to get what we would consider a Goldilocks type situation? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I just don't know. Beef, Amazon, more like EEM, Palo Alto, 1.7 million bucks, 280 puts for 2025. That's a home. That's a moneymaker right there, right? Let's see in terms of actual. Like I said, yesterday's price action was not a function on the option side. It was a function on the equity side. Okay, someone wanted out, but you can see here the SPY had some 14 million in call sweeps. NVIDIA 9.5. Okay, Palo Alto was that one sweep. Look, it's reading tea leaves. Okay, but as you can see here, you know, basically, it's hard to do, especially when it comes to seasonality. CSX, Equinix, Conagra, EQT, but Fortinet, and on the downside, Tesla obviously is notable. Okay. Let's take a peek at what's going on in terms of breadth. Hold on a second, guys. I just step away for just a minute. I'll be right back. I apologize. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Clearly, we were resetting on the front end, 1050. We still have some frothiness on the Dow Qs, obviously, with the summation, but nothing on the oscillator side. And then you can see overseas, things are actually on the opposite side, have been, Ibovespa, et cetera, have all come in. A little bit of, rosiness, but nothing dramatic. Here are the bonds. Okay. And then you can see there's 20 years starting to bounce. What's really fascinating about this is we're not getting a lot of movement, and we're kind of going back to the way we used to be, where it doesn't take a lot for this to, like, standard deviation moves, right? So we go from there. Okay, let's take a look here in terms of rankings. Volatility, right? Consumer staples, safer. Copper miners, not really. Okay, and then you see money flows out of financials, industrials, basic materials going into semis. Okay, well, and then on the utility side, oversold, Russell's oversold, and then Swiss market is overbought. This is, tech is coming in, neutral. 50, right? In the bonds and stuff like that. I mean, look, I mean, it's, it continues to be about, preservation of capital at this point in the game, all right? We'll see how, and this is what happens, obviously, when earnings start to wane, and we know for a fact, if you guide lower, you get taken down. Now, some of these being taken down, quote unquote, is really quite something, right? So, um, it's impressive, I guess, is what I have to say, right? So, um, and I don't know at what point, quote unquote, some of these like Palo Alto, I don't know at what point in time it says, okay, it's a value trade now, value growth trade. I think that's, that's where we are in this cycle right now. It's okay, what's a value growth trade? I don't know. And as stated, when I don't know, I just keep putting more and more hedges on because, what else are you gonna do, right? Ah, and here you go, here you go, here you see. Egypt, euro dollar in 3 days, in 5 days. Normally, we don't get a bounce until we get lots of green, like a lot more than this. But the Qs are starting to get there, right? XLK, SMH, right? So again, starting to get there. I don't know if we have to get to single digits on this stuff. Let's take just for fear and greed, right? And then we'll look at to see if the AAII is out yet. Okay, so it's still greed. And then let's take a look at the AAII, see if that's out yet. No, but I would expect this to be down. Right? Okay, and once again, this is why I put hedges on. I said on Friday. More red than green candles. Let's take a look at what March looks like. Not a good look either. So defensiveness, hedging, you know the drill. That's the name of the game. Right? Okay. Let's do it. It has to be done. It's a dirty job, but we all have to do it. Let's look at the NVIDIA against the world. All right, so you can see here in terms of the bonds, 30-year, yada, 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 10 years up, okay, up Canada, up across the board in Europe, and then down in Japan and Hong Kong and flat. And then we can see in terms of the curve itself, front end, right? Like I say, my biggest concern is everybody's piled into the front end in the bill side, right? I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know. Haven't looked at the balance sheet in a while. This is basically liabilities and capital are the factors draining reserve balances. Okay. This you can see is inflation, right? Here we are at the mid, right? You can see Fed funds, CPI, everything, right? Is this up to date? Yeah. And here we have GDP, and this is the thing that I look at as productivity, right? And it is going up, which is obviously very important. And we've talked about that for obvious reasons as an offset, right? Here's a 30-year mortgages spread, right? Finally, I was just apoplectic over this, the gouging that was going on in terms of the spread between the 30-year and the actual mortgages. I mean, this goes back to 1988. I don't have any farther data than that, but I mean, I was apoplectic at what they were charging. Okay. Here's the 2.5. Once again, I think this is the range and we get used to it. And here's the 5.10. And I wouldn't be surprised that basically this is now the new range and we get used to it. Right? Here's the 10.30. Okay. I don't know. But I really don't see us getting back down here, and I really don't see us getting back here. So I think we can kind of meander around like this for quite some time. I guess is the Reader's Digest version of that. Let's take a look at the 3-month. Okay. And let's take a look. Here's the US against China. Well, this should make no duh, right? Our rates going up against China. Here's Chinese rates. I mean, how low can they go, right? And here's German reclaiming. We talked about that. And this is German central bank balance sheet. Let's see if this is up to date. Yes, it is. Okay. So you can see that. This is so hard for me because we can talk as much as we want about debt, but the reality is from a countrywide standpoint, they can do whatever they don't damn well want to do. And we've seen that here in the United States. We've seen it in Japan, the poster child of kicking the can down the road, right? In terms of, you know, debt to GDP, things like that. We have a lot of uncertainty, and then when you layer that on in terms of seasonality, basically one has to be a little bit, I guess the word is cautious. This is the best way to put it. Don't know. But like I say, you break the 10 EMA on the weekly. Boop. All right, cryptos are coming in. Commodity side, gold is up still, silver's up, and then you see platinum, palladium down, crude, natural gas is up. And so we're starting to see that oil is bouncing quite robustly. So we'll see how that plays out. And yeah, this would tell me, we may just be finally at our meaningful low. FYI. So it is still equal, but now it's going to basically start flipping to long oil. Okay. Gasoline, aluminum, zinc, nickel, copper, all up, down, cocoa up. So maybe 50-50. Agricultural, consolidation, metals, beer flagging potentially, or potential low. I haven't done anything yet on this one. Natty gas, you can see is bouncing. So it basically, this is the pivot right here. Okay. The problem with this right now is, let's see. Okay, so I am going to get a green candle on it. All right. So if we get a green candle, okay, then yes. And a reclaim there, then I will be trimming some of my KOLD and holding my boil. Okay. That's how I do it, like a quarter, right? Here's crude. Actually, this is basically the 20 EMA on the monthly, range bound, but holding that range. Okay, so I'll see how that plays out and about. And here's gold crude. Gold still hanging in there. And here's gold, basically held the 10 EMA on the monthly, just still being patient. Now, the big thing going on is the physical versus the miners, the gap spread there is really epic. And so basically I would expect the miners to improve, or the other side of that is the physical sells off and the miners do nothing. Okay. Ta-da! Tech, small caps, S&P. Dow and the VIX is up a little bit. So what can I say? How far do we go? I don't know. All I know is you keep breaking that those EMA supports, then ta-da, I keep trimming. So overseas, DAX, CAC, FTSE, all up, right? And you know, I still think risk reward, and I've mentioned this, that having overseas exposure is not a bad thing, okay, right now. And I know that's like heresy, but I don't know. Just talking out loud. DAX still hanging in there fine, looks better. FAS, EFA, all looking much better than I do really EFA. So we'll see if it flags out or if it basically gets down and no good comes from that, and you know that. Okay, this is EFA, this is IWM against China. FXI, double bottom in place, still holding. Since 2022, that 2022 low, I don't think they're gonna let it go. I mean, look, come on. Seriously. I mean, we joke about it, but they're not gonna let go. Okay. Don't forget, Golden Dragon. I think, you know, once we get into March and they get to their meeting, we'll start to see more. This is the QQQ, very extended, and is starting to come back down. And we're seeing that it's more a function of our market, okay, than anything else, right? Okay, so let's do it. SMH. All right, so monthly SMH. No big deal, really, okay? Still above. You see the breakout level here, okay? The problem lies in I don't know why that's not letting me do that. Anyways, the problem lies that the gap between here and here is robust, the breakout, okay? And that's what happens, right? And you can see here in terms of the pivot point 185.06, okay? Which was last month's close. And the low for this month was 185.05. Okay, so lots of room. I'm not sure what the hell's going on here with that. Oh, I know what's going on. Same thing. You can see the same thing in terms of pivots. SMH stocks. So SMH has been outperforming stocks, and that's simply a function of Taiwan semi, right? What's overseas, right? SMCI, stuff like that. NVIDIA. Okay, here's an extension. Boop, boop, boop. Guess what? Below it, right? The Bollinger. Okay, so what was the open on this one? 621. I guess we could get a red candle here. I don't know. I don't know. NVIDIA against the Qs. 300%, so that is extended, and that can definitely come back in. Okay, but you see the pivot last month, right here. In pre-market, it is basically 160, and this is the pivot right here. You can see that right there of 149, 148. SPY against NVIDIA. Right here, you can see. See what happens. And it is bouncing, and you can see that. Okay. FANG against NVIDIA. This is daily. Let's get to the weekly. Let's get to the monthly. Okay. So here you go. See what happens. Lots of room to bounce there. So if you look at it from a short-term, well, a long-term standing, okay, you could be talking quite a bit on a percentage basis if you go from 13 all the way up to 15, right? So 15, 20%. NVIDIA against XLY. I know it's hard, but I think what's going to happen is something, well, the ideal narrative is as follows, okay? We get this. The ideal narrative is we get something like this. And then we consolidate for months, okay? And we hold within this range, and we don't take out any key levels, okay? But don't forget, when we had this extension, it was above the Bollinger as well. NVIDIA XLC, well, everything looks the same, right? Topping candles. If they go red, right? NVIDIA XLI, this is an interesting on the extension. So a lot of these extensions, guess what? They held, and we're coming in. NVIDIA SMH. So if you look at the bigger picture, yeah, but if you look at the bigger picture, we're basically seeing NVIDIA, you know, I'm not even talking about SMCI yet. This is NVIDIA against everything. And this is all saying the same thing, that basically the only way NVIDIA comes in, and you know the drill why, is that basically it's NVIDIA coming in. Right? So I'm just saying. Okay. NVIDIA AMD. Now this is an interesting kind of look to it right now. Right? I actually think this is the range right here. I don't know. So basically NVIDIA and AMD, for the most part, selling off equally, I guess is the way to put it. But actually NVIDIA is a little bit lower right now. You can see 418. Well, no, that's about the mid. You know, the mid is right there at 405. NVIDIA Marvell. So this says Marvell has actually sold off more than NVIDIA at this point in time. Taiwan Semi. Intel. We did AMD with SMCI. AVGO against NVIDIA. Actually, it's hanging in there. Okay. So basically being long AVGO and short NVIDIA, that's not a good feel nor a good look. FYI. For those who are thinking about it. Right? So just saying. Right? Just saying.
All right, Beth, ready to pop on here.
Okay, welcome back.
Thank you so much, guys. What's up? Morning. Let me just pop up the screen share, get right into it. So if you guys are new to chat and have already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're going to pop in a chat to look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, disclaimer section, click on that. Give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top of there. So first area to look at disclaimer section, super important, as well as that risk reward section. Definitely would not be trading any real money until I figured that out. So if you go through that section, I do break everything down for you, risk reward, how it all works, risk reward profiles, etc. So you could actually apply them to you and your account. Continue to scroll down. We have summary of how this chat works, breaks down all the channels work on the left-hand side. So you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. Important so you know where to be looking. Continue to scroll down. We have, continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts in the opposite. Like we said, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below this, options rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. Below that, the SPX rules that we use every single day. Continue to scroll down. We have any small account, less than 10K, breaking down. If you do have a smaller account, less than 10K, some rules, information, discipline you can put in place. You can better manage your account. How to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective below that. And lastly, high conviction small account trades posted in that area when they do make sense. All right, pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Tesla, SMCI, NVIDIA, PAW, Crowd, and Lunar. So Tesla gapping down and simply the market. Same with SMCI, NVIDIA, PAW gapping down on their earnings. Crowd gapping down in sympathy with that PAW, then Lunar. Intuitive Machines, Odyssey, Moonlander. Whoops. Pop this back up. Moonlander, Lander's lunar orbit insertion expected to take place later today, February 22nd. You got some nice, gap up in terms of volume coming into the stock this morning. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So the first two guys we're going to be looking at today, guys, going to be that Tesla and that SMCI. So let's have a look at those two. All righty, Tesla, SMCI. All right, so Tesla 191.52, guys, pivot to the downside today. Level is able to hold 196.08 to 201.54. Unable to hold. We're looking at 186.57 to 180.19 on the downside. Going to be leaning bearish. Looking for continuation lower if that pivot point is unable to hold there. Unable to hold, we got some nice room to the downside. SMCI, let's take a look. 754 at the moment. Pivot 740. Let's actually zoom in here. I want to nail these levels down a little bit. The 744 area. 791.21. 8, 10, 12. It should be good. The range on this thing's wild. All right. We'll call it 740, 356 pivot to the downside today. This level is able to hold 809.37 to 886.17. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback to 692.31 to 628.13 downside. Going to be leaning on the bullish side only if this pivot point can hold. If it can hold, guys, we got room to bounce. It's still holding that 13 EMA on the daily, which is the big level there. So that is Tesla, and that is SMCI. Take a look at the video. Let's take a look at PAW. All right, 677.53 pivots to the downside today. This level is unable to hold. We got room toward 671.48, 663.11, able to hold 685.60. Oops, sorry, 680. Yeah, 568 to 694.05 on the upside. Give me leaning bearish if that pivot point is unable to hold there. Let's take a look at PANW. Big move there. Holy smokes, eh? Equity 138 pivot unable to hold 266.23 to 253.19 able to hold. We look for push towards 297.21, 317.80 on the upside. Going to be leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower for pivot points unable to hold. That's PAW. That is NVIDIA. Let's take a look at Crowd and Lunar. Okay. So the Crowd 291.85 pivot unable to hold 284.77 to 273.81 able to hold 301.46 307.77 on the upside. Going to be meaning bearish neutral there on the Crowd. And then last but not least for the individuals, let's take a look at Lunar here. Damn, this thing's made a pretty good move the last little bit. Well, 10 pivot level hold 1309, 1426, unable to hold 1064 to 963. Maybe actually leaning on the bearish neutral side there, looking for it to pull back down into that pivot point, and then we'll see what happens. Pretty extended on the daily there. All right, let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. All right, 494 pivot, 494.50 pivot to the downside today. Levels able to hold 495.83, 496.97, unable to hold 493.18 to 490.75 downside, leading bullish neutral only if that pivot point can hold. So that's the SPY. Let's take a look at the rest of the FANG here. Now it's testing that EMA support on the daily and trend. I still think that can hold up, but we'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple still looks okay. Pivot 181.28, level holds 182.21, 183.39. Unable to hold 179.73 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral. Let's take a look at Amazon. Oops. 168.74 pivot level holds 170.46 to 172.03. Unable to hold 167.32 to 165.75 downside. Meaning bullshit are there as well. Let's take a look at Netflix. $577.19 level holds 581.82, 590.37, unable to hold 569.27 to 562.95 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral there. Maybe looking for that continuation bullish higher. Let's take a look at Meta. Oops. 470.60 pivot level hold, so you got rid towards 473.83 to 477.37. Unable to hold 466. Oops, 466. 46 to 462.45 downside, leaning on the bearish neutral side there today. And then last but not least, guys, with the FANG. Let's take a look at that Google. $140.46 pivot level holds 141.27, 142.17, unable to hold 139.49 on the downside, leaning on the bullish neutral side. So that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Gonna go up, pass it over to South Beach. While I type up the pre-market action plan, then we'll do a quick little recap before the open. South Beach, if you're ready, she's all yours for now, my friend.
Okay, welcome back, Spartan. Nice to have you back, buddy. And I'm glad everything went well. Okay, so technicals. Let's check that transport because that's got me spooked. You know that, right? So a little bit of a rollover in the daily and moving averages, but it's the daily. Okay, the daily gives false signals all the time, so can't go by that. The weekly is, firmly entrenched in bull mode. If you look at the oscillator, let's do that. It's really nothing. Okay, I think it's +2. So nothing doing there. So S&P's chart pretty damn good. Qs are going to be the same. All right. Now that Q chart is on the dailies. That was a nice break of that trend. We'll see what happens, but the weekly is still fine. I see no reason to get out. I'm a little nervous about the rollover, and I do think you get a 1017 cross based on today's action, but you may not. And then NVIDIA tomorrow, so you got to wait. Nothing to be garnered from that. The Russell looked like it might be breaking out. Now it's kind of back in that channel, so we'll see. But by and large, the chart is pretty bullish. The transports, on the other hand, not so great, right? You got a 1017 cross on the daily. It broke the 50-day moving average. The thing's been unchanged for fucking, 3 or 4 years. That thing got me concerned, okay? If it were to break 15,000, I don't know. I think the market's got some real challenges, especially after the run we've had, since October. So I'm concerned with that one. And that's the technical setup, okay? Banks and Fed, we have the PCE deflator tomorrow. Okay, so that is huge. That's before the opening. So we got NVIDIA tonight, and then we got PCE deflator before the opening. So that's a lot of stuff. We got the Fed It's the biggest number, and we have the stock market's biggest stock. I mean, maybe not biggest in market cap, but certainly the most important stock in this market, without a shadow of a doubt. And honestly, guys, I don't think there's a close second. It's far and away the most important name on the board. That's my opinion. You can disagree, that's fine. But anyway, so we have those two things. So banks and Fed, we have China and Russia. We'll talk about it in a moment. Nothing really doing with China. Crypto, I see it's coming in a little bit today, Mr. Market. Let's see what we have yesterday. Okay, so softness yesterday in material stocks, high PE tech, semis, China, solar. So a lot of high beta names. And the low beta names were the ones that did pretty good, right? Consumer non-durable, home builders. So the S&P was down, what, 30? The transport's down another 165. NASDAQ was a little soft, but the Dow, because of the consumer non-durables and all, they held up pretty good. It was only down 64 points. Okay, so that is your what's working. You can still say tech, but it's getting long in the tooth. But I think that'll, go either way based on NVIDIA's numbers tomorrow. So we'll see how those play out. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at the bond market this morning. So we have the market, by and large, unchanged across the board. Really no movement at all. Not even like 0.1. Oh, the 2 years down 0.1 at 460. The 210 spread, we're up to 34, kind of where it's been. So bond market super quiet, and that's the case over in London as well. And in the Eurozone, rates are up a tinch across the board, 0.02, 0.03, nothing major there. So the bond market fairly quiet. We'll see that PCE deflator tomorrow. That'll move the bond market for sure. Okay, either way. Let's look at commodities, and we have oil basically unchanged, but we have natural gas up 11%. Okay, to me, this number is kind of sort of a fugazi because the numerator is so low. Okay, I mean, we went from 350 to 175, so it's up 11%, 17 cents. BFD is what I have to say. Okay, we'll see if these things rally. I don't think it'll be predicated on natural gas being up 17 cents. It's down from 350 down, to 159, and now it's rallying 17 cents. Big deal. Okay, gold quiet, silver quiet, copper trading range, agriculture commodities quiet as a church mouse, and here we go again with cocoa up another 3% because of that weather situation in Africa. Currency wise, super quiet here. Dollars unchanged against North America, basically unchanged against Asia, and basically unchanged against the European euro and pound. Okay, and then we got crypto, day of respite here. It's down what, 2%, 1.6%. Ethereum's down about the same, and Solana's down almost 4%. Okay, but these things have had an amazing run. And let's look at the foreign markets. So we got the FTSE down 1%. We have the DAX up 0.2. Nikkei is down just a pinch, 2.2. China's up on some rule changes, up 0.8, and Hong Kong's up 1.5. We'll talk about that in a minute. Taiwan's down a little bit, 0.4. Okay, so there's your backdrop. So you got two Fed governors speaking today, Bostic and Bowen. You know what their their message is, and it may change tomorrow when we see the PCE. Okay, so that's the story with the Fed. We got that South Carolina primary on Saturday. Is that the end of Nikki Haley? It just may be. We shall see what we shall see. And then we'd be down to two, right? Biden and Trump. Great combination, huh? And so let's move on. Mortgage demand. So 30-year fixed rate went from 687 last week to 706. All right, applications to refinance dropped 11%. New mortgage applications dropped 10% for the week, 13% from a year ago. So these higher rates are keeping people at bay. I'm seeing that rental rates are advantageous to buying at this moment where I'm here, certainly in Miami and in New York. I don't know about the rest of the country. I'm not sure. But I know in these two places, renting is significantly cheaper, significantly than buying. Okay, I can tell you personally. Okay, that's the situation. What else do we have? Biden out there trying to buy votes. He's given new money to another what, $1.5 billion, 1.2 billion for student debt. So he went and tried to do this mass student debt thing, right? And the Supreme Court said no. So he's doing the end around. So every day there should be a rule about trying to buy votes in a presidential election year. And it's not just for Biden. Every president does it, but it needs to stop. It's a ridiculous waste of money. Not that this is a waste, but you hear what I'm saying. Buying votes is just BS. What else we got here? China is banning institutional selling of equities on the open and the close of every trading day. So you see a little rally in China. Okay, that won't work, guys. Okay, you can't, legislate your way to a higher stock prices. Okay, so this will bite them in the ass for sure. Okay, markets need to be free, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What else we got? Then we have Biden talking about cybersecurity at the ports, that they're afraid of spying. They're looking at cranes and stuff like that. It's a $5.4 trillion industry. 31 million people are employed in the ports. I thought that was a really high number, but that's the number they threw out in the paper. But anyway, that's a whole big thing that they're doing, spending some money trying to, combat cybersecurity risk, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Okay, UBS raised their target on the S&P 500 to 5,400 from 4,850. That's Jonathan Galoob. And yesterday, Goldman did it from 5,100 to 5,200. Okay, they had been at 4,700 in December when they raised it to 51. So they're raising it. And they raised their profit for the S&P 500 from the year from 237 to 241. At 5,200, which is where they think the market will go, the market will trade at 21.5 times earnings. I think that's kind of rich, but you can make your own call on that. Dow Jones Industrial is replacing Walgreens Boots with Amazon. A lot of people were expecting that, just so you know. That was old, right, twins? That happened last week, I think, not today. You're talking about the one last week, I think. Anyway, so that's and in the Dow Jones Transports, Uber is replacing JetBlue. Okay. Insiders, there was good insider sales in Zuckerberg sold some Meta, $46 million worth, which effectively is a pimple on an elephant's ass for this guy. And Bezos sold 1.4 million 14 million shares for $2.35 billion. I think he's going to continue to sell, guys. Okay. I don't think there's any doubt about it, by the way. Fubo is suing that Disney, Fox, WBD Sports Network, saying it suppresses competition. I think they actually have a case here. We'll see what happens. American Airlines is raising baggage fees. So if they get this to pass, accepted, I'm sure the other airlines will join in. $35 for bag if you do it on line, 40 at the airport, and the second bag is $5 more either side. All right, SpaceX senior vice president leaving. That's a rare thing to have someone leave at that higher level for Musk. IRS is going to go after top earners, shy away from the people who earn less. Right now in 2819, if you made over $1 million, your chances of getting audited were 0.7 of 1%. So they're trying to raise that number. Apple, it's been out of Russia for 2 years, but the Vision Pros are available there. Okay, what else we got? let's talk about this PANW a little bit. All right. So what I did some reading, I watched the interview last night. It seems as though because they're the big dog, they're trying to incorporate a lot of fringy stuff into the main product. So it's going to hurt the whole group. And they're going to give a lot of that away. So they changed their revenue number they were looking for 10.7 billion to 10.8, and it's going to be 10.1 versus 10.2. But the point is, if they do that, they're going to hurt the whole industry. And you see all the stocks in this group taking on some water this morning, based on this strategy that PANW is trying to push through. But they say that their buyers are exhausted, difficult customer ahead, so they're shifting their strategy. I think that sums it up. All right. HSBC is down on earnings miss 7%, and Sam Altman is seeking U.S. approval to raise funds for a new AI chip venture. And that's that. Then you go to the individual names. And what I noticed first from these individual names, I know, what's his face? Goldman thinks the earnings are better and this and that. But I'll tell you something, with the exception of, by and large, these semiconductor stocks, I don't think the earnings were so freaking great, to be honest. I mean, I look today as an example, the names that are beating are like a bunch of irrelevant names. Toll, okay, home builder, that's pretty big, and Wix is decent. All right. But other than that, CSTM, HALO, GFL, TX, IONS, Unisys, Beyond, BYON, a bunch of crappy names. That's how I see it. I look at the names on the short side. I see Teladoc, I see PANW, I see SEDG, Keys, IFF, Lazy Boy, Vert, some really bigger names, Caesars, Entertainment, MED. And I'll tell you, I do that all the time. I do that on the advanced decline line. I do that for earnings. When I see the bigger names kind of wobbling like I do today, and I've seen a little bit, I don't think the earnings are so great. I mean, semis, yeah, they knocked the cover off the ball. I bought that MOTS last night after the close. It's looking pretty good. Anyway, what else we got? So we got the MOTS up on some patent news. We got SOGP. That they're unveiling some AI powered tools. We have the Amazon replacing WBA, which I mentioned. Uber's up on the other one. Still up, yeah, a little bit. ARDX had positive news as well. Race buyback, and Norfolk and Southern got a upgrade from Barclays. The names Neo, BLCO, Wix, TX, a lot of names we don't trade. Tollus and PSA and BYON are the only ones I trade. Short side, you got a lot of good names, okay, which I mentioned. Teladoc getting smashed. PANW shows no bounce yet. SEDG, ADI, Keys, IFF, Lazy Boy, Caesars Entertainment, Wingstop. That's a great company. They missed too. VRT, ENVX, 3Ws, so a shoe company, HSBC, RGEN, PLAB. VZLA is doing an offering. WBA we discussed. Manu completed their deal for that minority investment from Radcliffe. Lilly was downgraded by DZ Bank. No teeth on that downgrade whatsoever. PANW is taking this whole group down with it. All right. Look at the sympathy plays, Crowd, ZS, Okta, Net, FTNT, Checkpoint, all getting smashed this morning. Right now, the odds of is 92. That's nothing done by the Fed. 8% think there's going to be a cut. I think they're smoking something unless that number blows you away tomorrow. And that's it for that. So when you get weakness in these bigger names, you're going to see strength in like consumer non-durables like we saw yesterday. I don't think the rally in Chinese stocks lasts, quite frankly. You may get a rally in some of these utility names, defensive names. HMOs could rally, hospital stocks, dependable earners versus, the high beta, high PE names. That's what I kind of feel that's going to happen there. We'll see if these things can get any bounce. I'm not quite sure. I think they're over-owned, so they may be in trouble. But listen, NVIDIA is the big dog, and that's going to determine what's what. So it's one day of waiting to see what happens with that, and we'll see. Okay. Meanwhile, I think these smaller speculative names are probably going to be a good thing to trade. We had insider buying in IOVA and PRME. We have 2 syndicate deals from 2 shit underwriters, so I wouldn't focus on that. And, you know, by and large, that's about it. So we'll see how it plays out today. Hopefully we get a linear move, in which case we can capitalize on that. And if that doesn't happen, I will sit tight, you know, trade smaller and wait for tomorrow. Okay, that's it for me. Spartan, it's all yours, my man.
Alrighty, thank you, South Beach guys. I'm just posting the last 2. They for some reason didn't go through, so I just have to quickly repost them. So just bear with me. Those are the last 2 typed up ones, by the way, for the individuals. So I got 1 done here. 2. And then what I'll do is when we just go through them, I'll just talk about it while I'm typing it out. But anyways, okay, so if you guys are new to chat and we're done, so make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're going to pop in chat. It's going to look something a little bit like this. First share to go to when you guys do come in, click on that disclaimer, give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, you're going to link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both. In regards to risk reward, guys, most important ratio in trading, so definitely worth checking out in that regard. Continue to scroll down. We have the summary of how this chat works, breaks all the channels work on the left-hand side. So you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. That's important. So you know where to be looking. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts on the opposite equity side, breaking down how to read alerts